Hey, how's it going? My name is Chris Down. Welcome to my channel. Now, essentially, what we do here is I usually just talk about things related to Google Ads, local lead generation. I sometimes talk about some other things like GMBs, SEO, website kind of stuff, but mainly Google Ads. So if you are here and you want to learn a little bit more about Google Ads, things like that, make sure you subscribe. But I'm not going to sit here and talk about myself and do the whole smash subscribe button thing for too long here. And I'll just kind of jump right into it so I'm not wasting time. So today what we're going to talk about is this is mainly geared towards local business owners, things like that, who are thinking about running Google Ads, and you want to know how to know if Google Ads is right for your business. Because in a lot of cases, I would recommend Google Ads for just about every, local home improvement company, contracting type business, really a lot of different types of businesses. I would recommend Google Ads because really ultimately it's kind of like a river. It's essentially this never-ending stream of people who are actively searching for your product or service. If you're in a larger market, it could be a massive, kind of whitewater rapid like this. If you're in a smaller market, it could be, a small creek. But the fact of the matter is that regardless, people are still going to show up to the platform, and they're going to search. And whether you show up or not, those searches are going to be happening. So that flow is going to be consistently going, and pretty much all you have to do is you have to show up and you have to take your bucket and you got to dip into that water and take some water out. And by water, in this case, I mean leads. That said, there are certain times that I wouldn't actually recommend running Google Ads for your business, and that's pretty much what we're going to talk about today. So some of those reasons right off the top of my head here, depending on the industry you're in, the population of your market, the amount of search volume you have in that market, and then kind of on more like a strategic or structural kind of business discussion sort of thing, it's really, where your business is currently at. Sometimes it just doesn't really make sense to, start running Google Ads and introduce a bunch of leads into your business. And we're going to kind of go over that in just a little bit. So that's what I want to talk about today. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to have these questions. I just have like 4 main questions, try and keep things as simple as possible. And it's going to be one of those things where you just kind of have to take the questions. I'm going to explain them and then sort of look at your own business and see, is it right for you? So first question here is, are people actually searching for what you offer in your local marketplace? And there's a couple different factors to this. The first part is, are people actually going to Google in the first place to search for your product or service? And then if they are going and searching for your product or service, are there enough people within your local market to actually sustain a Google Ads campaign? So, if people just aren't even searching for what you offer, then Google isn't going to work. There's other ad platforms that can work. And I know that sounds very, basic, but I'll just give you an example of what I'm talking about. Like, let's say you've developed some new product or service. It's brand new to a market and nobody's ever heard of it. And you're going to be the first innovator to bring it to the market. There's a pretty good chance that nobody is actually going to be going to Google searching for what you offer. And I've been through this in the past with different niches. The one that comes to mind primarily is stem cell therapy. This was, I think, 3 years ago. Stem cell therapy has definitely picked up a little bit. But around that time, nobody was really going to Google in big enough numbers and searching for like stem cell therapy near me or something like that. So we had to use different channels, different tactics. And there are ways you can make it work through either like Google or Facebook. But for the scope of this video, it's well outside the scope of what I want to cover today. It gets really deep into like market sophistication and psychology and all this kind of stuff. So for the purposes of most local businesses, a general rule of thumb is that, if not a lot of people are searching for it, then Google Ads probably won't be the best platform. Because ultimately, Google Ads is pretty simple. This is essentially the process you're going to be looking at for every single campaign. Number one, the potential customer is going to go to Google. They're going to search for your product or service. Number two, you're going to display an ad to them. They're going to see potentially, what they like. They're going to click on your ad. Then you're going to send them to a landing page at the third step. And then number 4, they're going to call you if they are interested in what you have to offer. And sometimes, we tend to forget that there's actually, like human beings involved in this process, because we sit there and we look at graphs and impressions and clicks and all this kind of stuff, because it's really just, human beings going to Google looking for your product and service. So you just got to attract, enough of those people to your business. But that kind of leads to the other side of this question is, what if you do offer something that people are searching for? And I'll give you kind of a recent example of something that I kind of dealt with on my end. Let's say it's bathroom and kitchen remodeling, just for this example. But you're in a local marketplace that just doesn't have a very high population. This is where there's a bit of a gray area when it comes to answering the question. Because let's say you're in a market where you can only really target like 75,000 to 100,000 people. From there, you kind of have to figure out what percentage of those people are actually homeowners. And that's probably somewhere around like 50% of those people, maybe. And then you got to take into account from that 50%. So you're taking, let's say, 50,000 from that 100,000. Then you got to figure out how many of those people are actually like realistically going to be in the market for bathroom and kitchen remodeling right now. You're going to be looking at a pretty small number in that case. And you could make Google Ads work. Like, I don't want to say that this is a scenario that I would just say like, oh, it's not even worth it. Just understand that it's going to take a very long time. It's going to take a very, very long time. You'd probably be better off going with a different marketing channel if your market is like really small, and you're kind of advertising for a service that, there isn't going to be a ton of demand for in that market. But, smaller populations, they can work. But in order to make them work, you need to have, I guess, kind of like what I sort of think of as kind of quote unquote common services. These are things like roofing, plumbing, house cleaning, landscaping, all that kind of stuff. These are things where, like, if people own a home, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to be looking for those services. You're going to have a much wider range of people searching for them. So even if you have that 100,000 marketplace and 50% of those people are homeowners, you only have an audience of 50,000 people, there's probably a good chance that like a good handful of those people are going and searching for like landscaping or something every single month. But if that previous company that does that kitchen and bathroom remodeling also offers like roofing or other services like that, then they could make that smaller market work. But really, ultimately, Google Ads is going to work best when you've got a larger audience to work with. So definitely think about that, for yourself and your business. If you're thinking about running Google Ads, you're in a smaller population, kind of look at the services you offer. And then also kind of leading to this next question that I skipped ahead too early to, if you're interested in doing some of this research for yourself, you can go to the Google Ads dashboard and do some searches in the keyword planner. You can actually, if you go to your Google Ads account, just click on this little wrench. You're going to have the keyword planner over here. And I'm going to cover this in another video. But essentially what you're going to be able to do is you can look up keywords in your area and see roughly what the search volume is. And if it's a really, really low search volume, then Google Ads, it can work again, but I would probably go with another channel because it's going to take months and months and months to get enough data to actually like optimize an account. So the next thing that we need to talk about is, do the numbers make sense? Usually when it comes to local businesses, Google Ads usually works best for, service-based businesses that have higher transaction sizes. So for example, if you're like a small retail boutique and your average customer value is like $27, it's going to be really, really tough to swing a profit with Google Ads. Like in that case, again, this is one of the things I guess with marketing in general, there's a ton of just gray area in marketing. But in order for Google Ads to work really well for your business, if you're that retail shop, is you really need to have like back-end processes dialed in for your business. You need to be able to, get that customer in. It'll probably get them in at like break even or a loss. And then you got to make sure you have like emails and text message automations to make sure they get back to the store to buy more stuff. And it becomes this really challenging process. But, if you have your back-end processes dialed in, Google Ads could work in that case. For a lot of businesses, if you have really small transaction sizes, Google Ads is going to be tough. And like I say here, like the reason for that and having the bigger transaction sizes is Google can be really expensive. And cost per clicks can vary really widely from industry to industry. And I know personally from experience, things like, bathroom and kitchen remodeling, they can be upwards of $20 a click. It's the same with, roofing and a lot of other niches. I would say, I don't know what like the national average is, but if you're talking about like home services, home improvement type niches or contracting type niches, a lot of them, you're gonna be looking at like $7 to $10 a click. Like here, like I mentioned, bathroom and kitchen is like $20 a click. Like I mentioned before, same with the roofing, it's about $20 a click. I've worked in IT before, that's like $40 to $50 a click. And then there's some legal niches where it's like $100 a click. And really the point is of all this is Google Ads can be damn expensive. Like it's one of those things to really not go into it if you don't have the runway or the budget. Because it can just, if things are not done right, it can just eat your money, and yeah, it can be expensive. I usually recommend starting with a budget of at least $1,000 a month for a business. And this is where you kind of need to look at your own business, do a little bit of math to figure things out, and kind of figure out if first off, that cost per click is going to work. But we're going to go over in just a second a little bit more in-depth info on kind of going through the numbers. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to figure out your customer lifetime value. And essentially the way you do that is you're going to look at essentially how many times does the customer buy from you. If you do roofing, for example, your customer lifetime value might be $10,000 or $20,000 or whatever. If it's just like a single transaction, but in another example, like let's say you're a dentist or something like that, you're not just going to look at that first individual cleaning. You're going to look at like how many times does somebody come back? Like, all right, a customer is going to come back twice a year on average for 7 years or something, and that's X amount of dollars. So kind of sit down and figure out what's your customer lifetime value or your average customer value for your business. Number two, you want to then figure out what are the average CPCs in your market, and you can go and use that Google Keyword Planner tool to figure a lot of that out. And then number three, it's essentially you just got to crunch the numbers from this point, and I'll kind of go over an example of that right now. Like let's say, for example, you're spending $1,000 a month on ads, a single click, and when I say CPC, I mean like a high quality, high intent click. Somebody searching for fence company near me, or bathroom kitchen remodeling near me, something like that. So let's say it's a $10 per click, and I have a couple different scenarios here. I usually try to have my campaigns converting at 20% at least. Like that's for me, my standards. I want to see 20% conversions. Sometimes things don't convert that high up front, but just for the sake of kind of giving multiple different scenarios, let's say we'll do a 10% example and we'll do a 20% example. And let's say, to be very conservative, your close rate is like 10%. So you generate 10 phone calls, and then 1 out of every 10 of those phone calls you convert into a new customer. Just a little thing here, like if you don't have all these numbers yet, it's fine. At least, the way I start all these things is just be conservative, and get like a worst case scenario to see if the numbers are actually going to work for your business. So if we use that example, we get $10 CPCs on a $1,000 a month budget. You're probably going to get around 100 clicks a month. If we convert 10% of those clicks, we'd have 10 phone calls a month with $100 cost per lead. If we convert 20% of those clicks, we're going to get 20 phone calls a month and a $50 cost per lead. With that 10% close rate, if we get 10 phone calls, 10% close rate, we'll have $1,000 cost per acquisition. This essentially means you put $1,000 into the system, and you got one client or one customer for that $1,000. These are all very, very important numbers. If you are not tracking your metrics in your business, I highly recommend this, because it's going to make your life 10 times easier, because you can just say, okay, if we generate 20 phone calls, we close 10% of them, we're going to get a new roof replacement or whatever at $500, or whatever it is you offer, we're going to pay X number of dollars to get a new one of those. But let's say these are the numbers for this hypothetical example. And let's say that your average customer lifetime value from that earlier exercise is like $5,000 or something like that. In scenario one, the way it would work is you have that $1,000 CPA. So you put $1,000 in and you get $5,000 out. In scenario two, you would have put $500 in, got $5,000 out. So again, I want to keep these numbers very conservative, but obviously the more ideal scenario here is the second one. But again, these are just kind of like conservative numbers to illustrate a point. So if you could swing those numbers based on like revenue and profit margins, then there's a good chance that Google Ads could work for your business. But keep in mind, even if you end up in that first scenario where you're spending like $1,000 to make $5,000 and you're not making any profit, you're still putting yourself in a position to acquire a new customer at break even. And in advertising, that's pretty solid. We obviously want to return a profit as soon as possible, but if you're asking for referrals or that customer is coming back for more services, then that's more revenue and profit down the line. And we want to really, not only with Google Ads, but with advertising in general, we want to have a long-term mindset. So while you might not be making a profit right now, if that campaign isn't performing awesome, that one customer could turn into 2 referrals and generate an extra $10,000 in revenue further down the line. So I won't be able to do the math for you on all that in this video, but take some time, go over this for yourself in your own business, and kind of figure that stuff out. But again, it's all about making sure those numbers work, and kind of having that long-term mindset. Because if you are breaking even, like that's still solid. Make sure, because you're essentially getting advertising for free at that point. You're getting a customer, and you're just kind of replenishing that ad spend every single month. But that's a topic and a ramble for another video. But we'll talk about this next question here. What are your expectations? And a couple other questions to kind of expand on that. When are you expecting to make a return on your investment? And what runway do you have when it comes to your marketing investment? Now, when it comes to Google Ads, expectations are massive. There's a pretty good chance that your campaign just isn't going to work spectacularly on month one. I really, really try to be as blunt as possible with this when I talk to clients or potential clients, because straight up, like, you could run a campaign and month one it could convert at like 5%, 10%. You might break even month one, which is great, or you might lose a bit of money month one. But really what it's about is you really want to expect to start seeing a solid campaign and a solid profits around like month 3 or 4. Because essentially the way it works is, we have to get data on our end, and then we make changes, make updates to the campaign, optimize it, and then we essentially you're like stacking results on top of results. So it's one of those things where you're just not going to see massive profits on month one. You'll most likely generate leads month one, but the campaign just probably won't be super profitable right off the bat. And the time for results usually falls somewhere between Facebook and SEO. Facebook ads can work really, really fast. You can get leads day one. You'll have a decent campaign within a month or two, but the lead quality can generally be lower. Like, I still love Facebook ads. Personally, I focus a lot of my effort on Google ads. But the thing with Facebook ads, it's like, if you're not equipped to follow up on hundreds of leads, like 7 or more times over the course of months, then Facebook ads can be a cheaper but a tougher choice for some businesses. Whereas SEO, on the other hand, can produce much higher quality leads, and it's kind of like Google Ads in that sense, where the leads can tend to be higher quality. But sometimes it really depends on the competition, obviously. Sometimes it can take up to like a year to really start seeing results from SEO. But really the reason why this is important is because if your expectations are off, then you're probably going to be disappointed and quit too early. And when it comes to Google Ads, you don't want to quit too early. And like, if you've got $1,000 to invest and you're expecting to make that money back, and then, in month one, you're just not making that money back, you're probably just going to be disappointed. So ideally you should really, be in a position, both, mindset wise, but also financially, to approach it from like an investing mindset. You want to plan for a runway of anywhere from 6 months to a year to give a campaign time to really get working well. Ideally it doesn't take that long. But you really want to have that kind of mindset. Because essentially the way Google Ads works, and I'll expand on this more in another video, is you're essentially putting money into the machine of Google, quote unquote. You put $1,000 in, you get the clicks, and that gives us data to figure out which keywords worked, which keywords didn't work, which devices work better than other devices. And you essentially, the process of making a campaign work better is you're just getting data back from Google and then trimming the fat. And as you compound those little changes over time, you can make a campaign go from converting 5% or 10% up to 20, 25, 30%. And that's how you start cutting down that cost per lead over time. So it essentially, like, it allows you to kind of optimize a campaign and get a campaign working properly. But really one of the biggest things that I like to kind of communicate with Google is, like, you want to view it almost like building out an asset for your business. It's kind of like taking a a Toyota Corolla. Like, this is your business right here. And then getting a really good Google Ads campaign working is kind of like taking that Corolla and putting in a Corvette engine. I don't know why you'd want to do that. But it's essentially like you're taking something very efficient and then you're putting a supercharged engine in it to make it go that much faster. I wouldn't really recommend that in real life, maybe, unless you want to live a very, very dangerous life. Anyway, not only is it going to provide you with a consistent flow of leads for the long term, but it's also going to improve the value of your business. And this is huge if you're ever looking to really like sell your business. But essentially, that's all just a very long-winded way of saying expect to invest for months, plural, and not a month. So, final question in this long-winded ramble of a video. What does your sales process and team look like, and can you handle bringing on more leads? And this last one is pretty straightforward, but like the numbers question, you're going to have to take a look at your business yourself and figure out, is this going to be something that's right for you? An ideal scenario is that your business at least has someone who's dedicated to answering the phone and doing follow-up. It could be one person, a team of people, whatever the case. You want to make sure the phone's getting answered. And people are following up. And now this doesn't always have to be the case. I've had clients, who are owner operators and they're answering the phone themselves. But the good thing with Google Ads is a vast majority of the leads that are going to come in are going to be phone call leads. So like I mentioned before, if you're an owner operator and you're still answering the phones for your business, it can still work. Just understand that you might get kind of overwhelmed. It's definitely best to hire out. So like I say here, like if that's your current situation and you're already like really stretched thin as it is, adding Google Ads on top of that, it's literally just going to be overwhelming. In that case, I would definitely put somebody in place to handle the leads before investing in Google Ads. Because really, like at the end of the day, you pretty much just need to look at your business and see if you have more capacity. Capacity to handle more lead flow, capacity to handle more jobs. Because for me, I look at business as one big system. If you're trying to cram too many leads into a system that's either at capacity or just a broken system, you're going to have a massive headache on your hands. And it doesn't matter how much you invest in marketing, how much you invest in, like, it doesn't even matter the channel. Trying to cram more leads into a broken system is just not going to work. So make sure your sales and fulfillment systems are good before you're investing in Google Ads. So that's it. That is it. That is my long-winded ramble of a video today. I hope that was useful for you. If you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the comments. Like I say in every video, I want to have this be as engaging as possible. So if there's anything that you need help with, anything you're stuck on, drop it in the comments and I can see what I can do about, making a video to try and answer those questions. So this is obviously my time to do a little bit of shilling. If you want a free Google Ads audit, I offer 100% free Google Ads audits, at least for the time being. I'm going to drop a link in the description. It'll take you to a page where I kind of explain a little bit about the offer, who I typically help with it. I don't work with everybody on it just because they do take a lot of time. So if I'm at capacity for a month, I apologize. But yeah, if you want a free Google Ads audit, go to the link in the description. And then obviously, because this is YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of YouTube stuff. Again, drop any comments. I hope you like the video. If you don't, dislike it to oblivion. That's totally cool with me. But yeah, if there's anything else you're looking for, drop a comment and I will try to get to them as much as I possibly can. Also in the description, I'm going to drop my personal Facebook page. So if you want to add me as a friend there, feel free. I will also drop my Instagram profile, my LinkedIn profile, and all of that good stuff. So that's pretty much it for this video. I will try to continue to upload all these videos pretty consistently. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope to see you in another video, and I will sign off now to prevent this outro from getting too awkward. So thank you for watching.